Wrestler Talk Tonight podcast, and today I'm joined with Michael Vickers, all the way from Leicester. How you doing, Matt?
All right, cheers, mate. Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. So we're here to discuss your latest release, I'll Be There. So could you just give us a little bit of background of how it was written, what it's about, just all the ins and outs of the tune?
Yeah, to be honest, I wanted to write a kind of catchy, big chorus song. It was kind of easy enough for anyone to kind of sing along to in the chorus. I started writing it on guitar, and then kind of I got a bit stuck with it, and I was doing a lot of things that I've done in a lot of songs before. So then I got to the piano, and I finished the song off on the piano. And yeah, it's about a kind of a breakup, and I think the idea is that it's a promise that I'll be there next time, which is easy to say when you've already let someone down. But it became very self-reflective, as my songs often do. And it just ended up being about myself and how it's in my nature, unfortunately, in the past that I've kind of let people down, you know.
Yeah, so I believe there was I read something about you suffering from mental health issues. I don't know if you want to go into that at all.
I've basically, so I mean, I grew up with ADHD. I've had my share of ups and downs over the years. Hitting it a bit hard every now and again. Saying mental issues is hard. I mean, it's quite a stigma with that. I mean, I work with people who have mental issues, and that, real mental issues, like bad, and that puts it into perspective. But I'd say I'm a very high and low person, but I think that comes out in my songwriting. Do you know what I mean? I think that's probably why I can kind of write songs. So I don't know. I'm all right now. I'm fine. I mean, I bleached my hair blonde, but I'm not having a breakdown. It's I just fancied it, and I can shave it and look like Eminem. So that's basically it.
Amazing stuff. Well, I'll Be There is been featured on this week's Tunes of the Week, and there's a few reasons for that, but one of them is your vocal performance on it. It's really strong.
Right.
It's one. This year, it's one of the strongest vocal performances I've had. So,
wow.
Sorry about that. Have you had any vocal training, or is it on natural?
You know what I mean, mate? Thank you for saying that as well. That means the world to me. I mean, growing up, I was always into guitar, and people would often say, "Stick to guitar, mate." Do you know what I mean? So hearing you say that about my vocals, I guess I had a bit of training. I studied at Leicester College, and that was a 2-year course, and one of the lessons was a group vocal lesson, and I learned a lot there, but a lot of it was technique, and I'm not the kind of singer that can kind of, I went through stages of trying to do exercise and that, but I just find for me, I get my kick from playing a guitar and belting it out, and I think now those things I learned back then have helped. But I think a lot of it's working out your own voice. If you I grew up listening to a lot of Oasis and the Beatles, and Stereophonic. So everything I sang sounded really loud and more gravelly. And then when I started listening to more acts like Elliott Smith and Jeff Buckley and people like that use their voice in a different way. I mean, I'll never be as good a singer as them, but I kind of, the more you're influenced by more things, the more you practice with your voice, I think you just kind of feel it. And I mean, I wouldn't say I've got the greatest voice, but it's kind of my voice. So I'm happy with it. And people are starting to comment more now, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, because especially in I'll Be There, the chorus, it's not so much singing as just screaming it out with passion. So,
yeah.
You mentioned Stereophonics. They're a big band for obviously Kelly Jones, one of the best vocalists of this generation. I can really see that sort of influence. But what other influences have you got which help you write songs?
Funnily enough, actually, while the haircut's here, I grew up listening to a lot of Eminem, a lot of Dr. Dre, early Kanye West stuff, and a lot of rap actually, because it's not, you can't hear it that much in I'll Be There, but definitely from a songwriting point of view, I try and I sometimes write stuff as a rap, but because I can't rap, I like sing it, which is a bit like what the Arctic Monkeys did in the early days, and you know, and people like kind of Plan B. I suppose he still raps, but his really early stuff, he's kind of still strumming a guitar. I like that kind of that spoken word side of things. I also like, you know, I don't know, Kings of Leon, the Beach Boys. You know, I love loads of stuff. Rage Against the Machine. You know, all the indie stuff's massive for me. All the Motown stuff's massive. Arctic Monkeys.
You mentioned the sort of rapping. You ever heard of like Jamie T, that sort of thing, like Slur Today?
So Jamie T people have. Sorry, say again.
It's like indie rap sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. Well, Jamie T, I've got a song called "Still Not Forgot," and I remember playing that, and a lot of people saying it sounded like Jamie T. People said for a while I either sound like Jamie T or Jack Penate, however you pronounce his name.
Yeah, Jack Penate, I think it is. Yeah.
But yeah, there's also that Slow Tie guy, but he's a lot more angry than me.
Yeah.
So
political. I can't say. Not a huge Slow Tie, but you know.
I'd be worried if I was that angry, to be honest. I'd be worried if you saw this. You might come and
try
me up or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Jack Penate. That's not a name I've heard in a good few years, to be honest. You kind of gone off the boil, I think. I've not heard about him probably since that. Is it his debut album, Manatee? I think it is.
I think it was. I mean, I saw him at Leeds 09, which the lineup was just insane.
Yeah.
And I saw him, and he like dived into the crowd, and someone nicked his shoes. And like got back on the stage, didn't have any shoes and that, and he was brilliant, to be fair. But he's one of them. He kind of did a couple. I think he was struggling a bit, and then I don't know, maybe the pressure after the first couple of albums, but he was wicked. I loved all that kind of indie scene. I don't know what years they are, from probably when Arctic Monkeys came around to like 2011. There's loads of great bands. Like I was listening to like a lot of Paolo Nutini and, you know, The View and Cortina. Yeah. You know, there's loads of.
I mean,
yeah,
Kaiser Chiefs, Razorlight, they're like the main ones from that era as well. Obviously, Kaiser Chiefs have gone off the boil as well. Lead singer, I can't remember his name, but ever since
Ricky Wilson, is it?
Ricky Wilson, yeah. Ever since he went on The Voice, he's a bit fucking up his own arse.
Yeah. It's all changed. To be honest, I saw them at Leeds as well, and they were brilliant. But I think he's from Leeds, isn't he? I think so. I think that probably helped. But he was going nuts. He was just running around with a cowbell. He looked like he was having a right laugh. I can't even remember if he sang or not.
It's more of a performer now, is it?
That's it. Yeah, that's all you have to do when you get that big. Just run around with a cowbell.
I mean, you're mentioning gigs. Have you played many gigs yourself?
What, like recently or generally? You mean sort of thing?
Well, I'm not going to say recently, so obviously you haven't. But yeah, just in general.
Yeah, like to be fair, consistently since, you know, for the last 10 years, I'd say, since I was, and probably longer before that as well. When I was like really young, I was always like obsessed with kind of playing the guitar and playing it in front of people, sort of thing. I think like, consistently I have. I mean, I there was one year I was about 19. I must have played. It was probably about 120 odd gigs in a year or something, just insane. 100 gigs, I don't know. It was a lot. Yeah. I was doing like, well, if I was doing 3 a week, it's 150. But you know, I had years of bank holidays having like 4 or 5 gigs in one day, and like moving between them. Like, I mean, before I drove and that, my mum and dad like kind of like taxiing me around and that. But I've got lucky. I've had some big ones. I played Glastonbury in 2015. I did 2,000 Trees that year. I played a big one last year at De Montfort Hall in the Gardens there. And I've to be honest, I've been quite lucky. I've gigged in a lot of cities. I studied in Bristol, so I gigged a lot of places there. I've gone up north. I've gone down. I've kind of gigged all over really. Managed to play a few cruises in my in a side project of playing 60s covers. which is great because the second, because you get to be on the cruise like for 5 days, and when you're not playing, you just sat at the bar, and which I love. To be fair, I mean, I'm not saying I love that more than the music, but it's a close second place.
Yeah, it's very close. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable at a bar. So, but I mean, you always do your second set, and there's like some old guy asleep on the front row, and he's done it. He's done it all in the '60s, but now he's a bit old, but there's stuff like that's took me all over the place, South Africa and Dubai and stuff like that. But yeah, it's weird not gigging at the minute, and I had some really good gigs lined up as well. Things were just kind of starting to kick off.
Yeah.
I was getting a lot more exposure and traction, and unfortunately this happened. But people have got it much worse than me, so I'll stop banging on about it.
Well, you mentioned all these places you've gigged, but what's top? What's the best one?
Got to be Glastonbury, to be fair, just because it's Glastonbury.
Yeah,
and you know, like I literally I don't know where I stand with swearing on this. I don't know if you can edit it.
Feel free to say what you like.
So yeah, I'm at uni, and I've spoke to like one of the heads of the uni, and I've said, there's a few festival opportunities going in there, and he was like, yeah. And anyway, didn't hear it more, and then I've got called out of a lesson. And like at school, that was like a normal thing getting cut. It was like, oh, fair enough. You know what I mean? But I was like, I'm at uni now. I'm actually a good boy now. You know what I mean? He was like, can Michael Vickers come out? And he went, yeah, we've got a slot. So you can play Glastonbury. And I just looked at him and went, fuck off. Like that, like the head of the uni. And he basically was like, no, I'm being serious. I was like, oh. All right, well, sorry I told you to fuck off. Yeah, I'd love to. So, yeah, it was great. And so I got there, I played like 2 or 3. I played on the Saturday and the Sunday, and I did like a kind of warm-up gig at an open mic stage on the Friday. In this little tent that was empty, and it started chucking it down as I played my first chord, and it rammed. And then I played at the Cross on Earth bandstand the other 2 nights. That was for me the best, just because it's Glastonbury. But I mean, the Montfort gig was great. I've done a few good ones where I've done like local pubs where people turn up and they kind of go, "Oh, I've heard your stuff," and I'm like, "Ow!" And like they've ended up singing along to my tracks, or I've got them all singing at the end. A pub full of 30 people. I've had some great nights like that, just gigging where, people have gone for it. The Cookie in Leicester, I've had great gigs there. The Musician. I think some really good ones I did. But I was supporting a guy called Gaz Brookfield, and he took me on his tour for 2 dates. He took me to Milton Keynes and to Worcester, and both of them were just mad because he's got a good following anyway.
Yeah.
But all of them had kind of been checking out my music because they're all full-on music lovers. You can sell CDs at these gigs. They'd all been checking out my music, so like it's just gaining more fans than that. And for me, I mean, a lot of performers are the same. Like for me, like the more the merrier. I'd be much more nervous turning up to a gig where there's no one there, and that has happened. And I've just left. That has happened, and I won't forget that. But I'll always take like the more the merrier because I'm just an attention seeker. So you
say like you want more people seeing you. What's the aim? Like, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I don't know. Hopefully not in prison. No, not really. I think to be honest, like your dreams change as you get a bit older. I mean, it's hard, the music industry. Do you know what I mean? I like where I'm at now. I'm starting to get people really showing an interest. I'm getting like, real fans that are really interested in my music. If I can go around and be doing O2 academies, even, and maybe not selling them out, but able to perform them as a headline artist, if I get to that place, I think I'd be over the moon. I think that would be, do you know what I mean? Where you've got a big following,
Yeah.
People are into your music. You don't necessarily have to be chopping your fingers off fitting carpets. That'd do me. But obviously, if someone said, right, we're going to sign you and you're going to go play stadiums or be the lead singer of Kasabian, I'd do it. Do you know what I mean? So whatever. I want to go as far as I can go, and I'm just going to push it as hard as I can and keep doing it. And I believe in myself. I know what I can do, and I'm confident. But there's a lot of good people out there, and so yeah, it's a hard question. Sorry, I've not really given you a decent answer there, but
that's why we ask it to every band that comes on, because it's interesting to hear like people's goals. I think like the most common answer is people just want to be able to do it for a living. I think you touched on it there, like you're not having to, chop your fingers off. And bands have to have ambition. That's just a given. Because if you're not trying to get to the top, then what's the point? Got a couple more questions for you just before we end. If you were on a desert island and you could only take one album with you to listen to for the rest of your life, which album would it be?
As soon as you said that, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys came into my head, but one album, that's hard.
It's funny you said Pet Sounds, because the podcast that's just gone out with the Raz, Lee from the Raz actually said that album as well.
Oh really? Yeah.
So that's taken. You can't have that one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I'd say something like Figure Eight by Elliott Smith, but I could listen to that too many times and feel very, very low. So I'd have to go for, I think, Revolver by the Beatles, I think.
Any reason why?
It's just great. I love it. I love the Beatles, and I loved when I found out that they didn't just do pop songs and they did experimental stuff. Lennon's voice sounds wicked on it. The songs are great, and it just reminds me of being about 15, hearing that record, sat at a park, drinking and all the rest of it, and it just takes me back to there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people will say like the first album they fell in love with, The Take, because it's the memories. You want to take those memories with you.
That's it. I think I'd go Revolver.
Very nice. Good answer.
I'll probably go back on it and text you afterwards, to be fair, but now we'll go Revolver.
Yeah. So I'll Be There came out this year.
Yeah.
Have you got any of the songs planned?
I've got a song. Actually, I've not announced it yet, so this is the official announcement called You're Not Around Anymore, and it's out on the 14th of August, which is a Friday, and it's the third track from what's going to be a 4-track EP. So I'll Be There was the second track. And it's kind of a bit of a follow-up to that. It's like it touches on the same themes, but it goes a bit more into. It's a bit dark. There's a few twisted bits in there about. Well, I won't ruin it, but it's a bit like Every Breath You Take by the Police is a bit. I mean, it's not as good a song as Every Breath You Take by the Police. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say that, but. It's a bit it's a bit darker deliberately because I don't like everything being too nice. And I'll Be There was very nice. As gravelly as much as I kind of got in the studio and shouted it angrily and upset, but it's quite nice. So this one's it's a little bit, it's a little bit more twisted, I guess.
Amazing stuff. I look forward to hearing it. I'm sure everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, nice one, mate.
Well, Michael, thank you for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate that, mate. Cheers.
No problem, sir. You can check out all our other podcasts in the bio below. All Michael's links are there as well. And thank you for watching. Cheers. I'll be fine without you. How will I get by without you now? I'll be fine without you. Broken promises, I pick you up and drop you down. Love don't exist. It's